Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Chelsea Bayarte here at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Today we're joined by NASA's SpaceX Crew-6 crew, who just returned from the International Space Station after having spent 186 days in space. We're joined today by NASA astronaut Steve Bowen, who just returned from his 4th space flight. We're also joined by NASA astronaut Woody Hoburg and UAE astronaut Sultan Al Neyadi, both of them having just completed their 1st space flight. Andrey Fedyaev is their 4th crewmate. He could not be here with us today because he's back home in Russia with his family. So I'm in another room, and then we don't have media in the room with them there today. We would hate for them to get sick right as they just got back to Earth, but we do have media here on the line. So if you have a question, go ahead and press *1 on your phone, on the phone bridge, to raise your hand, enter our question queue. But if your question has already been asked, press *2 to lower your hand and exit our question queue. We'll also be taking questions from social media using hashtag #AskNASA. I've got my phone right here looking for your Ask NASA questions, so be ready for those on social media. So I'm going to toss it over now to Steve Bowen for some opening remarks.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure, and it's fantastic to be back here. And really, first off, I'd like to thank everybody here at JSC, at NASA, as well as SpaceX for the incredible flight on Dragon, both up, back down, and for our relocate. And in addition, all the control centers around the world. You know, Huntsville, Scuba, Munich, Moscow. It's an incredibly integrated team. And we're actually just a few weeks away from coming up on more than 23 years of continuous presence on board the ISS in low Earth orbit. And I was looking at it and trying to get a sense of what that means. It's about 1/3 of the world's population wasn't even born when we first put man on board the ISS. So that's an incredible accomplishment, and we're just very proud and happy to have been a part of, so far, a chain of 69 increments, coming up on 70 increments. And you know, I think we did our part. I think hopefully we kept the chain strong, and we'll be able to pass that on to the next increment. And it's been an incredible pleasure for me, after several space flights, to get the opportunity to fly with Woody and Sultan and Andrey, and really, it's just amazing to watch people in orbit. It's really incredible. And thank you all very, very much.
Thanks, Steve. Now let's jump into some questions. We've got some people here on the phone bridge. I'm going to kick it off to Marvin Marshall. He's with Space Report News. Marvin, go ahead with your question. Looks like Marvin has exited our queue. We'll see if we can get him back. And now go to Elizabeth Howell. Elizabeth is with space.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm glad that you're safe. I wanted to ask a question of Sultan. Are you able to talk a little bit more about the plans for yourself and also for the UAE Space Agency for the human spaceflight program? Because we really enjoyed your tweet saying space, this is not a goodbye. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. And again, it's really nice to be back and meeting with people who supported us throughout the mission. Indeed, our program is continuous. It was announced to be sustainable from the first day. My mission is a continuation for the space program, starting from my colleague Hazal Mansouri, who flew in 2019. This is the 2nd mission. We have astronauts under training that they'll finish next year. So it's a continuation of the human space flights. And I'm happy actually to be part of it, and the UAE is committed to actually going further into space. And as you may know, UAE has signed the Artemis Accords, and hopefully we'll get to be part of it in the future. And yeah, I'm really happy with the overall performance of the activity in the UAE, and I think it's going to be really, really interesting in the near future.
So we're going to flip over to a social media question, and this one is going to be for all of you. We talked a little bit about food before your mission, but now that you've been to space and back, Tori on X wants to know, what is your favorite food to eat in space?
I think, honestly, our favorite food to eat in space is the fresh food we occasionally get when visiting vehicles show up. But on sort of a general, throughout the mission thing, mine changed. There were certain things I had early on that by the end I didn't want anymore, and toward the end I think the spaghetti with meat sauce I think is what we settled on for me. And Woody, what about you?
Yeah, my favorite was pretty consistent with macaroni and cheese. That was always a special treat when that was available. But Steve's absolutely right. The variety in food is also really important, and we have an amazing food lab here at JSC that provides just a really amazing range of delicious meals. I was a big fan of making tacos, of quite a variety, so all sorts of different filling combinations, and that kept things interesting.
I totally agree. We have a big menu, honestly. We bring food from JAXA, for example, from ESA. We have the standard menu from NASA, and we got to try some Emirati food as well. We did an Emirati night, actually, where we tried some Emirati food. But honestly, 6 months is a long duration when you start to feel bored from a specific food. But again, I have a specific, I would say, food that I really liked right until the end of the mission, which was a mango salad. It was my favorite throughout the mission.
All right, thank you to all three of you. Hopping back now over to our phone line, we've got Tanisha Thomas with Spotlight PA.
Hi, I had a question for Woody. I saw you brought the terrible towel with you, and so I was just wondering how it felt to see your home state from above and also join plenty of other astronauts who are from Pittsburgh in space.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, it was an honor to continue that tradition. And yeah, it was really fun. It was right from the beginning of getting assigned and realizing it was possible to bring a few small items. I really wanted to bring a terrible towel just as a lifelong Steelers fan. And seeing my hometown from orbit was amazing. It's amazing how quickly the scenery goes by underneath us, but those familiar landmarks that we've seen so many times. I mean, I could see the three rivers just standing out clear as day so many times passing over. So that was really, really fun.
All right, Woody, I've got another one for you, but also joined this time with Sultan. We've got a question from Shatadal on X, who asks, how does it feel to be in space for the first time?
It was amazing. It's such a dream come true, such a unique life experience. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity. And it's really wild. I thought a bit about this. Before I flew, obviously, we do so much training and we get ready and we're really well prepared, but there's still an aspect of uncertainty. It's just impossible to know what it's really going to feel like. And it's just such a kind of profound thing. You fly up, you reach second engine cutoff. At that point, you go from about a little over 4 Gs to weightlessness all of a sudden. And from that moment forward, I was just weightless for 6 months. So it's amazing watching the body adapt, and you very quickly get used to that just being your new norm. In fact, I think in the past week, as we've been back here, it's been really interesting realizing how used to weightlessness I really am and how strange just basic things like walking or trying to jog feel now. But the body adapts so quickly. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I was the first one to get out of the seat, and I remember Steve telling me, "You know what to do." I was asked to bring a cabin mic, so I was the first out to get out of the suit. And thanks to the advice that we always get, just to take it nice and easy, which I did. And because again, it's subjective. You don't know what's going to happen, how your body will react to microgravity. You could definitely be sick if you start moving really quickly and a lot of head movements. So I think I took it nice and easy the first few days, and it worked really well. And yeah, 6 months of weightlessness, it was amazing. It was really, really cool, just trying all aspects of physics and trying to just use minimal force to go from one place to another. And we had some competitions, right? I mean, going from a station forward, trying to float without touching any cables or hitting any walls or anything. So it was really fun just trying weightlessness for the period of the mission.
All right, switching over to our phone bridge here with Ben Guarino with Popular Science.
Hi, thank you for taking our questions. This is for all of you. I know you're kept very busy, but 6 months is a long time to be working on a science mission. So what did you do for fun? Did you have a favorite activity while you were off the clock in orbit? Thanks.
Yeah, I think we all had our individual things that we used to fill that time that was available. We were really busy. I was commenting earlier that we actually had a lot of events and a lot of work to do, and so much of what we did, everything's interesting on board. But when you did have spare time, I spent more time looking out of the cupola without a camera this time, and sometimes just floating around. And really, I really enjoyed just hanging out with the rest of the crew on board. It was just a fantastic crew to spend time with. And that really, I was never ever bored on board, that's for sure. And
Yeah, the downtime is a fun aspect of the mission. We had a few chess games going on. We had a couple games with mission control, not only here in Houston, but around the world. There were a few chessboards in mission control centers, and we were doing 1 or 2 moves a day. So that was a really fun part of the mission. We also played some games on board. And then I just loved photography. Any chance I got going to either the cupola or what we call the wharf, which is our sort of photo grade window in the nadir portion of the US laboratory. I really enjoyed getting better and better at taking Earth observation photos.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you guys, and I think we were lucky enough to have a proper division in terms of the time. So we had the month of science, a month of EVA/Axiom, and then a month of maintenance, and then again a month of EVAs, and then maintenance again. It was really nice actually to have this variety of actions going on. But yeah, in the spare time, definitely going looking down to Earth and trying to capture that and sharing. Honestly, a big part of my mission was just to share everything I do and outreach, talking to students throughout ham radio or direct calls. So again, the engagement of people was a big focus of my activities during off time.
So Woody, I wanted to go back to this chess game because it leads to one of our social media questions that we got from Charles on Facebook, who wants to know who won the game.
I think we actually came out victorious twice, which it's funny. I'm actually not a particularly good chess player. I really enjoy the game, but we had the whole crew participating from on board, and I think we got lucky a few times. We have the advantage on board of having some continuity of move to move. We kind of know the strategy we're taking, whereas mission control is handing over 3 shifts a day. So they may come up with an idea 1 shift, and then the next shift has to deal with that and continue executing. So I suspect there was some definite chess firepower available on the ground here, and I suspect if we had had a third game, we might have had our work very much cut out for us.
All right, astronauts win. Mission control. Gotta have to try harder next time. We'll go back to our phone bridge here with Mark Carreau with Aviation Week and Space Technology.
Thanks. My question's for whomever or each of you. You had a large, broad science agenda, which is not unusual for the crews, but I just wonder, what's your sense of how engaging, satisfying, and motivational it is to pursue all those science and technology projects?
It's incredibly engaging, and I think we'll all have an answer to this, but what surprised me is there's just so much. You can't get so wrapped up and focused in any one of the science projects you're working on. You really try, you get in there, you work ahead of time, you study a little bit, make sure you understand what you're doing, get through the procedure, and then right away you're scheduled onto something else, which as I said earlier, I was never ever bored, and it was just, the variety is absolutely amazing, and there's so much science that goes on that we never actually directly interact with, and it's just absolutely amazing to be a part of that.
Yeah, it was amazing. The variety is incredible. A couple just small examples that stood out for me as really interesting. We had a facility where we were doing some biofabrication. It's called the biofabrication facility. We actually printed the first section of meniscus ever printed in space, and that facility is now, it actually took kind of some trial and error. There were some setbacks along the way throughout our mission, but by the end we had successfully printed this meniscus. And that facility is now going on to do some cardiac cells and also blood vessels in the future. So that's going to be really cool. Those are structures that with the viscosity of the liquids and the sedimentation and settling that you would have in 1G, you just can't do that on Earth. And so it's kind of a technology demonstration to be able to do these things in weightlessness in low Earth orbit. That was really rewarding to work on. I remember seeing Sultan working on beating heart cells. That was incredible to see. And we worked on one experiment called Capizorb, and that one was really fun because it